All right, Andrew Eastman with the ESUCC here, and I would like to welcome Vern Fisher of Gibbon Public Schools to talk a little bit about the ideas for how to form leadership groups. This could be during normal times or during remote learning, but those leadership groups certainly serve a purpose, an elevated purpose in that remote setting, as there's a lot of collaboration and communication that needs to go on and be facilitated. So I'm grateful for Vern to take some time, and just going to ask, I guess, off the top, how do you create these groups in Gibbon?
We just guess.
You
you go here. You go here. We have them count off in numbers. Andrew, it's a really good question, and when you think about this particular topic, it really is about context, the size of the school district, the kind of resources you have at your disposal as you think about creating those groups. So for us, every school district has a school improvement team. It's the academic arm of your improvement efforts. So we continue to exercise their expertise and their sense of leadership in helping us move in and out of a remote setting. For example, today we spent a lot of time talking about Schoology and Screencast-O-Matic and ensuring that our staff was equipped with the knowledge and skills where they felt that they would be successful should we move back into a remote setting. Outside of that, though, there are other topics or other groups that you have to consider, or other tasks that you have to consider. So while your school improvement team is looking at the academic arm and monitoring your progress against school improvement goals, when you move into a remote setting, there are needs for students with special needs. You have students in an ELL program, and how are you monitoring their learning as they move in and out of the setting? And how do you respond quickly should they need additional time and support for learning?
Well, and that gives us a little bit of sense. You kind of jumped to my second question there. What are these groups doing? And it sounds like there's multiple groups that are taking a different portion of the pie, essentially, of responsibilities to have to kind of shoulder those different loads. And at some point in time, I'm sure there needs to be some collaboration across those respective efforts. And so what does that look like whenever those opportunities how do you intentionally make time for that?
So let's build off of both of those comments. So the first is our school improvement team here in Gibbon meets at least once a month, focusing on our school improvement goals, our action plan, and really monitoring student progress. When we moved into a remote setting, that school improvement team met weekly. And what their primary purpose was, they were looking at what we were doing inside a remote setting. We moved so quickly the last time that we were unable to give our staff the kind of attention they needed in terms of strategies, in terms of implementation of those strategies, that we wanted to provide as much help as we could. So they were monitoring the academic or learning environment within a remote setting. But then we had a second team called the continuation of learning team that really, what they were doing is they were looking at, okay, based on the standards that we know we want our kids to be able to do and show evidence of knowing, how are we ensuring that kids with special needs or in different subgroups we're performing within that environment? So we would look at the academic piece. We would look at their attendance. We would look at how often they were engaged in learning in that learning environment. And if we needed to intervene, there was a direct intervention from that team to the students who needed that intervention. So it was not uncommon for us to reach out and make one-on-one contacts for kids who might be struggling. So we really had two teams that met every week, and they met on top of each other. So our school improvement team would meet 2 to 3, and our continuation of learning team would meet 3 to 4, and they would share exactly what they had been talking about, what they had been seeing. So that work of the continuation of learning team would continue to work one-on-one with kids, where the school improvement team was taking care of the needs of our classroom teachers.
Well, and you can just hear in you're sharing there that there's such intentionality brought around trying to empower your staff to be able to take on some of the many responsibilities that are there, and also to make sure that you're making that time for that collaboration across groups is so important. So thanks for sharing a little bit about what these groups have done in a remote environment, the ongoing collaboration between them. And I know that there even were remarks when you're talking about the work that those respective groups are doing. If you're watching this video in the midst of our administrator remote learning support website, we have resources on this site to cover some of the different topics that Vern just mentioned there. So make sure that you check those out along with all the rest of our content here.